Jenny Mendez is a born and raised Kansas Citian from the city's own West Side community. She currently serves as the director of Maddie Rhodes Cultural Arts Center. In her nearly 29 years of service there, Jenny has created several community initiatives around art and some fun events such as the infamous Dia de los Muertos event, which celebrates the life of loved ones. An artist herself, Jenny is responsible for some historic murals which still exist on Southwest Boulevard and on 23rd Street, also known as Avenida Cesar Chavez. Jenny also currently has artwork at Kansas City's Nelson Atkins Museum of Art in the Layered Presence exhibit. Thank you, Jenny Mendez, for everything you have done and continue to do in making our city and communities great. This is Interrupt KC. Enjoy this episode.
Welcome back to Interrupt KC, the podcast dedicated to people, places, and things right here in Kansas City. I'm your man, D-Rob. This is JL. We got Nick back off of vacation, man.
What's up?
What's up, Nick? Welcome back, man. Welcome back.
Nick. We got to give Nick a mic, man.
Yeah, he could just talk loud.
Nick will be like, man, I don't want to be talking on that.
I know. He said he didn't want his name first, and we're talking about him.
Man.
Get him a mic. He'll be like, man, I don't want to do this.
Man,
what's up, man?
You know what? I'm all Royals out, man, because the Royals, man. And I know we've talked about this a couple times, but, I didn't think like August, like middle of August, I was like, will we still be talking about the Royals in the middle of August? Like, I don't know. Will we still have hope? And we do.
Yeah, man. They've been blowing it up, man.
They have. And shout out Bobby Witt Jr., man, because that dude, a whole nother level.
Man, he already's like where George Brett numbers.
Yeah.
Right? He's already.
I know. What is he in, Nick? Year 4 or 3? 4? 3?
Yeah, man.
Well, that's what's up, man. But I'll tell you what. I was driving here to where we are today. Hey, Kansas City. We want to give you an opportunity to win some Maddie Rhodes swag. All you have to do is share Jenny Mendez's episode, tag Interrupt KC, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow. I wonder if this guest knows how many times their name has been name dropped on our episodes.
Man, I don't know if she does, but I know it's probably been a good, I would say maybe, I think about 6 or 7 times maybe.
Yeah, at least.
At least, man. Somebody say something about the special woman, man.
Man.
Her contribution, man, to everything that here in this community and just her voice, man.
You cannot talk about art or artists in Kansas City without talking about this individual.
Absolutely.
So with that said, man, I think we should interrupt our guest. What you think?
Let's do it, man. Let's interrupt him, man.
And by interrupt, we mean introduce our guest, none other than the queen herself, Mrs. Jenny Mendez.
Jenny.
How we doing?
Hello.
What's up, Jenny? How you doing?
I'm doing really good. This is cool. Thank you for all those kind words. Dang.
Well, those are well-earned and well-deserved. Those are from mouths just like ours. Other people that recognize you, that know you, that you've helped. You shed the light on a lot of different artists here that been recognized with their work and what they do. And
look behind us. Era Icons.
Yeah.
Gear. Vanya. Yeah. And you're going to know a lot more artists we got coming because we got more artists coming our way, and they all know you.
Yeah.
And so, Jenny, your name has been dropped so many times on Interrupt KC, so it's such an honor to be sitting here with you.
Yeah.
Where are we, by the way?
We are at the Maddie Rhodes Cultural Center. This is our, 2 years now that this building was opened, and we're getting ready to come up on our 3rd annual Day of the Dead for this building, but actually our 26th year.
Wow, 26 years. That's what I was thinking, like, okay, how long has it been, D-Rod?
Yeah. We talked about that briefly.
Yeah.
I thought it was a lot more.
Yeah,
right?
26.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So we want to get into all that with you, right?
I think I remember year one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's shining some light on my age, man. But
no, but I mean, like, I remember, like, the Day of the Dead celebration is not 26 years old, right? Is it?
Yeah.
It is?
It was one of our first exhibits that we did.
So I have been coming here for 26 years because I remember...
Like the very first ones, it was, you know, just really grassroots. It was like 10 altars. Like an old school type of carnival in the back of an old space. And there was like about 300 people. And then the lights went out. It was crazy. I mean, just like that was the first year. Right. And then after that, it's just grown ever since. You know?
I remember that old space, man. There was a lot of good times there. Just
the wood
art.
Floors would.
Yeah. You're right.
Well, they're a little warped too. I think they're a little warped. I mean,
lots of character.
A lot of traction, man.
Yeah,
a lot of traction.
Sure. Lots of people.
A lot of traction.
I love that word, character.
Yeah.
I love that word. Well, Jenny, listen. A lot of people know who you are, clearly, right? They're very familiar with Miss Jenny Mendez, right? And they're familiar with a lot of your work, probably here at Maddie Rhodes Center, but maybe not so familiar with your story and kind of where you're from as much, you know what I mean? And not including just people here in Kansas City, but people all over the world, like D-Rod likes to say,
We're touching everybody, man. A lot of people recognize it. So, I mean, the Kansas Cityans, the community people, those that know you, and those that don't, which there is some people probably in the UK, right?
We're about to educate them.
Probably in the UK.
We're about to educate them.
We were just told we have some fans down in Atlanta.
Yep. That's awesome. Yeah. That's really cool. You guys are doing it.
Right on.
Appreciate that. With that, Jenny, why don't you talk a little bit about your upbringing? Where are you from exactly here in Kansas City?
Sure. Grew up on 26th and Madison, here on the west side, you know, proud west sider for real.
Yeah.
And, you know, my grandparents were on the next block over, so, you know, lived right there up the street from Sacred Heart Church, went, you know, every Sunday, went to OLA of the Americas school, you know, through it all, you know, and just really when I think about it, because a lot of times when I'm talking to other kids or we're talking to even my grandkids, it's like we knew everybody in that school. We knew all of the kids on our block, you know. You know, everybody was friendly. Everybody took care of, you know, one another. And growing up there on that block, you know, in the 1970s and 80s, you know, you're talking about just a really great time. And so many really great memories, you know, going through the alley, either my mom pushing us on a wagon to get to my grandma's so that she could watch us, or just playing in the alley, playing with friends. They're still there to this day. Sometimes when I just want to, like, connect, like I feel like I need that, right? And I'll just drive down the block, but it's like a parade, though, when I go down the block, because I'm like, and I'm hoping, like, I just want to drive down without anybody noticing me. And then they're like, hey, Jenny, and they come out of their, you know, porch or something.
So some of the old neighbors still recognize you.
Oh, yeah. They're all, and pretty much a lot of them are there still, you know, on that block, but even just around the neighborhood, of course. And then, so growing up there, going to school at OLA, and then high school, went to St. Pius my freshman year. And, you know, for me, it just wasn't for me. My sister had gone there, and you know how it's like we tend to, in the Hispanic community, tend to go wherever our family goes, you know? Right. And so all my friends that I had gone to, I ended up going to Redemptorist for my 8th grade year, and that's when I met
Hey, Redemptorist Rockets, baby. Redemptorist Rockets.
D-Rod.
And, you know, and it was cool, though, because we were,
Did he have a tattoo already on his neck?
I don't think he did.
Okay. Man, you knew him before the tattoo on his neck.
Well, I got to correct that. I think I might have had this little bitty one here.
Okay.
That's a whole different story.
He was innocent back then. What are you talking about? His little hair combed over.
And then you showed up. Don't lie, Jenny.
And then I met Jenny, man.
Yeah, and then there it is. But went to Redemptorist, and all those friends that I made really quickly, you know, just being there for 1 year was like all the girls were going to St. Teresa's Academy. So I ended up, I don't know how I convinced my mom to let me go to St. Teresa's Academy. So I ended up graduating from St. Teresa's Academy and, I can't tell you that name itself lends itself so much for anything that I'm doing. If I meet somebody and I say I went to St. Teresa's Academy, they just like Rockhurst or wherever, it's like you say a name and they make a connection right away, or they feel that they can. You're being brought up, with certain values and morals, and and just going to Catholic school in general. But for sure, St. Teresa's really did that for me, and then. I had a wonderful sister, Jean Adovito, was my art teacher.
Okay.
And she had me go into the Art Institute for high school classes, and then the rest is history.
Going
to the Art Institute. And
my guess, though, Jenny, is like you, before all that, right? Like you were drawing, you were doing something right at home, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Did mom and dad, any relatives ever say?
My dad was a really great artist.
Was he?
And he just recently passed, so we've been going through all his stuff and found all these amazing sketchbooks and
that you've never seen before.
Not really, maybe a few here and there, but there's a lot of other ones that we had not seen.
I'm sure he probably held on to a lot of that, just to the memorabilia, right?
Oh, he held,
and
he
then
had
to see it, and then to see it.
Have you ever seen anything he drew like of you?
Yeah, he did a drawing of me. It's funny. It's a sketchbook that has me and my two sisters, and I can't remember if there's somebody else that he drew, but it's like it's a portraits of it. I mean, it looks like me. It looks like my sisters too. But it was just funny. It's just a pencil drawing, but it's a good size.
Yeah. And, you tell your sisters, that's me. That ain't you.
Yeah, I know. I did tell my sister. I thought the other one was my younger sister, but it really wasn't. It was my older sister, and she was like, "That is not me." And I was like, "Oh, sorry." But I mean, he through grade school and stuff. Like if I had a school project, and he would draw something for me, and I'd take it in, all the kids would be like, "Wow," So that's a huge thing that I've carried, with him. With him being an artist, my uncle, I think my aunt told me today that my grandmother could draw, and that's where it came from.
Okay, so it runs in the family.
Yeah.
Wow.
So and that's just, my grandmother is my heart. So it's like really, she inspired me to kind of delve into the culture, and really kind of where my heart ended up just like, opening up all the way. It's like being able to take all that in and. But as a high schooler, I did start to do murals, and a lot of people know me just from, and that's such a long time ago. It's like another lifetime ago.
What's the first mural you did?
We did right there on 23rd. I'm going to get a drink of water.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think you was involved in the one down there going towards Kemper.
Yeah. So back then it was called 23rd Street.
Yeah, 23rd.
Cesar Chavez Avenue. And I was a freshman in high school, and Leanne Perez was pulling together a bunch of art students. We got the flyer. Me and my friend Cheryl, we looked at the flyer and we were like, we should do that. We're always riding our bikes around there. Let's do it. And so I ended up doing that first mural with her, and then continued to do it. That was in 1982. Continued to do it every year for a good 4 or 5 years. Wow. And we did all those murals, and it's too bad that those walls they're not good for it, because what's happening is that water is going right through them.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a retaining wall, so they, the paint just ends up coming right off. Even though the one we did lasted for a good 20 years, it's still, you can still see lightly, and we'd redid it maybe 10 years in or something, but all the other ones, they're faded out. There's some graffiti down there, and it's too bad that the city didn't take care of them as far as like the property, because if you go down,
a lot of mud and a lot of the rainwater from the dirt and all that also kind of ruined it too, right? A
bunch of weeds and stuff. But then if you look down underneath at least 6 of them, there's like a inscribed. I don't know what you call it, panel. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
like
a plaque thing that's on the ground that has every one of the students at assisted with or that helped with making the mural.
Is it still there? Is it all
those
covered
are still
up?
there.
Wow.
No, they're there, but nobody
sees
really
it.
knows and sees it.
Somebody needs to go down there and clean that up and put
and
like
it'd
an
be nice,
altar
you know?
around it or something.
It's like
Right?
guys trying to like
Yeah, man.
They kept it up for a while, but I think time goes and then stuff happens. But I know there's been several conversations and people bring up we got to redo those murals. Hey, we're going to redo those murals. Then I hear about it and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute.
That's my mural.
Yeah, you're just and not that I have to do it. It's just a matter of like learn about it first and learn the history, so that if it does get redone, at least I can give you what happened, how did it happen, and that's goes I'm sure with any muralist. I had to just recently hit up Isaac and Rico, and then even talking with Gear a little bit, or even Scribe, but just kind of. That whole idea of like, what is that unspoken word when we talk about mural work, and murals that are done in communities, and especially in communities like this on the West Side, Hispanic communities that telling their story, and it's a specific time in history that we're talking about. Nobody knows like that this woman, this Caucasian woman that ended up marrying a Hispanic man. Was looking for students to paint murals, and how did that happen? I mean, we even did a breakdancing mural at some community center. She got us all these gigs, that we could go and be a part of, and she followed me throughout my career until she passed away a few years ago, and she was one of my biggest fans.
What's her name?
Leanne Perez.
Leanne Perez. That's right. You said that.
Yeah.
Does she got any family or kids that sticking around hanging?
Her daughter, Bonnie. It lives like in the Northeast neighborhood and has a son who's come through all of our camps here at Mattie Rhodes. And so, I try to stay connected. And then her husband was just here for this meeting that they had at my job here, and Javier Perez. And he's real invested in the community. And he lives up in Carnes, Coleman Highlands. And so it's just really cool to kind of have a mentor like that.
Yeah, for sure.
We've actually talked about those murals on 23rd or Cesar Chavez now here on Interrupt KC, and I was sharing because my family grew up on Fairmount, which is that last street before you get there to 23rd, across from the Bluffs, and I remember walking 23rd and seeing them, and I forgot who we were talking with, D-Rob, but I remember just saying like, man, like it was a source of pride because people knew like this was a community that cared, and we can paint our culture on these walls. And then as time's gone on, those have faded, and now
each one also represents a different era. Right.
Exactly.
I mean, because if I remember them celebrations. I remember had it all blocked off. It was lighted up. There was bands playing. I remember all that. I was there. Right. So, but I also
go.
do.
I'm sorry.
You were a baby.
I try to take them. Like, just sneak out the house. I come get you.
Yeah.
But I remember that each one was like there was of course the Aztec one, Mayan one, right? And that's the biggest one. Right, and then there's a revolutionary. There's an older one, a cowboy one.
That's the one that I was actually. She kind of handed me the torch, just said. And I got my own crew of kids to come in and help paint it, and we did a timeline, which included the Mexican Revolution and all the way through, all that stuff.
That'd be great to get that kind of.
That is
revamped, man.
Yeah.
So you were saying, Jenny. So you were in high school. You went to what art school did you go to?
The Kansas City Art Institute.
Kansas City. What did that look like back then to get into the art school? Like, did you have to submit a portfolio?
I had to go through it all. And I was at Penn Valley, and then, I wasn't thinking I was going to go to the Art Institute. There's no way. No way my parents could afford that, Whatever that process was, there's no way that I was good enough is what I felt, right?
Yeah.
And then they called me up and said, we'd love for you to submit your portfolio. We'd love to meet you. And I know at that time, and I think every college should do recruiting for students that they're needing, more of, make a more diverse, population in their school. And so just being from Kansas City, going and getting interviewed to be a part of Kansas City Art Institute, that was a big deal. I got my portfolio. I had went to, St. Teresa's Academy. My teacher was all about it. So she helped me to have a really great portfolio to be able to get reviewed, and then we had to go through, the process of doing getting a loan, student loans, and or what can we do about, can we get a scholarship? Can we get this? My mom didn't know anything about that, and it was a lot of money. I mean, I think I was.
How much was it back then?
Oh God, I don't even know.
In comparison to now?
I think it was. If now if it's 25, it was probably 15. I mean, it's just like it's like it was I think that's too low even saying it, but think about Catholic schools right now. Shoot,
man, I know it.
Come on,
what?
Hey, Redemptorist, man, I couldn't imagine. Back then, what my parents were paying, but and we all went there.
Yeah,
we got big families.
Your family's huge, right? Yeah, so it's like just that idea of. What is that? I mean, I paid interest from getting deferred through the years up until like just a few years back, and I was like, I'll be paying this forever.
Yeah.
But then all the stuff, I ended up it got totally wiped away. In the past few years, it wasn't I was paying. It was like I owed a ton, but still, even if it's $5,000, you're still okay. I'll make little increment payments if that's what they're letting me or whatever. But I mean, it was a big deal to be able to go there, and it was It's like when I look back and reflect on it now, it was like me kind of there, but I wasn't there. Like I feel like I could have been so much more a part of it. But because I was here,
you didn't apply yourself too much, or
not
what?
Not that. I think I did. I could have done better, but more of like it was such a wow.
Yeah.
That you were there.
That I was there, and even in the experience itself, like that was a big wow. Right. So then I felt like I was kind of floating, watching it happen.
Right.
Like that was kind of. And
you were just probably
that's still a great feeling.
Yeah. I mean, you were probably just used to being in the neighborhood, going to school with friends. I'd
have friends that leave little notes in my studio that said, "Where are you?" And I was like, well, half the time I would walk there from my mom's, and by that point we'd moved. My mom and dad had split up. My mom moved us out of the west side, and we moved to Westwood, Kansas, near me, actually, right there. Yeah. And so I would walk from there to all the way past the plaza.
I was going to say.
And to the Art Institute, because I would wait on a bus to get there. I was driving. I'd wait on a bus. And if the bus didn't come, well, I'd say, well, if I walked, I'll catch the bus.
That's like a good 3-4 miles.
Like,
man, that's probably more than that, man. A bunch of hills, man. A bunch of hills going up and down.
And then we come back home. But it was. So either the bus, I take good old 47 Roanoke, or end up walking 47 Roanoke.
I remember that, man.
It's like that was the
bus. It went everywhere. Plaza to the west side.
To the west side. That was everywhere. Yeah, we took that bus every time we needed to get where we where we had to be. But
that's some memories.
But just taking even the metro to get to school was a lot different than what all the other students were doing.
Yeah.
I wasn't living on campus.
Right.
I wish, I always tell people when they're applying or their kids are applying to school, it's like, and I'm all about that education, that's like big. It's like, experience it all.
Yeah.
Take every moment in, do, if you can get in and do the dorms, or if you can go out of town and go to school, do that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And I think, I had a great experience, but I would have done better, I think, if I had gone away, because when I went home, I went home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wasn't doing any more artwork when I got home because I was living my life. There my mom was, my sister, whoever. So, but what a great experience. For real. I would never ever take it away.
Yeah.
If I think I would just do it a little different. Yeah. But what an amazing experience.
So, Jenny, today, what is your official title here at Maddie Rhodes?
I'm the Cultural Arts Director at the Maddie Rhodes Center. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so my guess, just like, over time, even like what Interrupt KC, like things evolve, right? Mm-hmm. Like early on, it's a passion. What were you focusing on early on as an art student? Was it just pencil drawing, painting? What were you doing?
Painting, and I think, but when I was little, I was just drawing anything I could draw. There was kids in school that were better than me.
Did you do graffiti?
To do it. A little bit, but just mainly like lettering stuff.
I knew I saw Jenny from the block somewhere, up on a wall somewhere.
Exactly right.
Oh, man.
But, there was some, you know, like I was, not that he would say that I was, but like, you know, Juan Moya was coming up at that time doing like a lot of graffiti stuff. And when we were doing the murals, we had to like, Leanne really was great about approaching artists like Juan and saying, hey, we're going to be doing a mural down here. And he had this great piece that he had done for one of his buddies that had passed away, you know. And so it was this, I think it was somebody kneeling in front of like a tombstone, and they ended up having to, you know, get rid of it. I don't know if you remember that, but
I think I do. Where was that at?
Right there on 23rd, right where the murals ended up being. Yeah. So being able to approach him and telling him, "Hey, we're going to end up having to wash away your mural," but giving them the respect, similar to what I was saying about that kind of.
Yeah, that's a golden rule.
Yeah, it's like that respect of if you're going to cover up something or if you're going to take it away, or you're going to redo it, you better make sure that you're hitting up the right person so that if they're not alive anymore, if they're not around anymore, that at least you know that history. And, you know, people like Juan, and there was other, you know, artists that were doing stuff, and you're just like, you know, Henry Montes, who was doing artwork, and he was old school, and then even Adolfo Martinez, and they were, you know, they were painting on Lona's cars back then. And that's just like, dang, they were doing all this airbrush work. They were doing murals, you know, and it was like I always wanted to kind of follow in that. And then Juan was younger than me, so it kind of that's what I was saying about he wouldn't really say this, but kind of like people were pushing me to mentor him, right? And so, you know, he might have been doing some things he might not have or should not have been doing.
Nah, not Juan. Not our boy Juan Moya.
No doubt about that.
Innocent, man.
And I love his story, and I love that he's, you know, opened up about his story so much more. And, you know, I'm always pushing him, I always tell him I'm your biggest fan. Like, for real. Like, if I could put his name out there, if I could throw it out daily, you know, I would. And just seeing him grow up, you know. And so when I did mentor him, even though he wasn't listening at that time, because he would be sitting there just like this, you know.
Oh, boy, man.
And I would say, like, hey, well, I go to the Art Institute, you know, like, who am I? Like, I wasn't, but, you know, that I understand why people were trying to make that connection.
Oh,
why
for sure.
don't you talk to him? And
you're from the West Side.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you got a lot in common.
Lived right across the street from his grandma, so, you know, we knew each other, but it wasn't, you know, we weren't running the same circles, but stuff like that, you know, just
the real question, Jenny, did you get a jean jacket from Juan Moya with your name painted on it?
No, I didn't. I wasn't one of the lucky ones.
Come on, Moya, you owe Jenny,
know, right?
man. You owe her, bro.
But you got one, right? A jean jacket with paint. You probably did it yourself.
Yeah, probably. You know, maybe my dad probably did something on it or something. Yeah,
that was the thing back then.
That was the thing, jean jackets with my buttons.
Of course, man, of course.
You know, but you had mentioned just about like but painting. So painting was always something that ended up when I went to college. I ended up going to the painting department because I had done the murals and it was like calling me. Yeah. Had a great teacher, professor, and that's kind of the route I went. But I always wanted to be a teacher. That was kind of in my nature. Yeah. I mean, you know, it's like kids would come down to my house on the block, and because we lived towards the bottom of the block, towards the church, and you know, just come play school, you know, tag, whatever it was, and you know, my older sister, she was more of like, you know, with the boys, you know, like playing marbles and different stuff with the boys. Yeah. I was like baby dolls and taking care of the kids, you know, and just being that nurturer, you know. Right. And then my little sister, you know, she was a lot younger, so of course it wasn't, you know, not too much of till later that we really started hanging out and doing all that. But just always wanted to be a teacher in some sort, you know. Yeah. And so that's kind of what took me to, you know, where I'm at as far as an artist, and you know, trying to. I think that's why this happens. Right. Being here in this space, being here at this cultural center, being a part of Mattie Rhodes, it's like I forget that I'm an artist because I'm always helping or trying to connect artists, and then you know, doing my own artwork kind of comes probably third, fourth, fifth, maybe even
down the line.
Yeah,
like you're too involved with everything else that you kind of put that on the back burner a little bit.
It's on the back burner. You know, one day it's going to come way up here in the front. And you know, I got to do a piece more recently for the Nelson Atkins Museum, and that's a huge. You know, that's like the icing on the cake, and trying to like that alone, how that happened, and just the idea and the support that I've received from so many friends at the Nelson, it's like.
Yeah. Well, and you also met Cheech, right?
Yeah, so yeah. I got to meet Cheech. That was really cool. That was awesome. So,
describe your piece at the Nelson.
I might start crying.
That's okay. I'll cry with you.
It's a painting because I knew I needed to do a painting for sure. I'd done a lot of like small pieces that have been like colored pencil and stuff, nothing colored pencil like Juan. He's mastered it. But, just something that's easy for me to do at home, not having a studio. If I whip up something, it's going to be a colored pencil piece and put it in a show if I even get that far. Mm-hmm. And so this one was all acrylic paint, but I really thought about how much culture and inspiration I've gotten from my grandparents, from my parents, from living in this neighborhood, what it means to me to really reflect on that, and being a Chicano artist, it's like, I wanted to show that in the piece. I'm also a collector, and so that was a big part of it. Like, my kids laugh at me because I will send them pictures of drawings and paintings or schoolwork that they've done that I have. They're like, why do you have that? And I'm like, you wait. One day, you're going to want to see some of this stuff, or you're going to be like, dang, I'm glad my mom saved that, or, and it's just like, so I save everything. And I collect miniatures, like especially miniatures from Mexico. I've been able to go to Mexico with my aunt several times throughout the years, and it's been, like I'll make sure to pick up some miniature things. If people are doing stuff miniature size, it's always something that kind of connects with me. Yeah. So, but a lot of stuff. I just collect stuff in general, and I'm not a hoarder or anything. I wouldn't say. Maybe my husband would say that, but
we all got a little bit hoarder in us.
Yeah. But it's like more of like memories. And I noticed that we've been cleaning out my dad's house and real recent, and he saved everything.
Yeah.
And it was like in tip-top
stuff from you when you were young,
us, right? Cards, drawings. But
like the stuff that actually meant something, right?
Yeah.
He didn't save like your socks when you were
nothing weird or anything.
Yeah. That's a great thing. I mean, that's a great thing. I actually can relate to everything you're saying because I'm the same freaking way, right?
Yeah.
Like when all my kids would make something with a little craft thing. Yeah. And I put it all on this wall. I mean, it's, so that sentimental value deal, man.
Totally sentimental value. I mean, it's hard for me to get rid of something that I've been holding on to without saying, okay, it's beat up now, maybe I should throw it away or whatever, I mean, my mom has saved some really great, like, dolls of mine, and me and my sister had seen some pictures, and it was like a Raggedy Ann doll. Right. And I'm holding it, and it's a black and white, really nice photo. Yeah. And that my dad had tucked away in like a toolbox, And my sister says, man, that Raggedy Ann has seen some stuff. And I'm like, that is so true, and my mom still has it. Yeah. So it's like being able to have parents that kind of see that sentimental value and the things that mean something to us as adult children now.
Yeah. And rubbed off on you.
Yeah. Hey, I'm all about it. I mean, if I can tell a story about something that happened through an image, either a photograph or
a memory,
or a piece of, memories just mean so much. And so in my piece, there's a lot of things that really reflect memories and even collection pieces. So I have little stuff that I've collected on the front. It's a box. My idea was it needed to be kind of not a shrine, but like a retablo or like a, what do you call it?
What they call it, like the memory boxes or something?
Yeah, just kind of, something
Is that what it's called? You know what I'm talking about? Like when schools bury them things.
Oh yeah. I mean,
kind of same concept, different
time capsule.
Like a time, but it ends up being that in a way because even though it's a piece that has a paint in the back, you can slide it out and put it back in. My husband made the piece, so the wood is out of wood. Was able to paint it. I had lots of dreams that I was going to do all this stuff to it. Then when it comes down to it, you're like, okay, no, I don't have any time. I spent so much time on the painting, which has two hands together, and and it's I had my mom pose for it, so it's her hands, but then it's also my grandmother's hands. And if you look real closely in the back, it's like looks like a moon, but it's really not a moon. It's a tortilla.
Oh, okay.
And so the tortilla is the moon that's behind where the hands are, and a corazón that's in the center, a heart that and reflects, that whole idea of Sacred Heart, growing up at Sacred Heart Church, and then all the other stuff around it, flowers from this real cool platters that my grandmother kept above her cabinets in her kitchen, and it's just, it really speaks Mexico, but it speaks my childhood, and then it speaks a lot of memories and just things that are really close to the heart. So that's my piece, and it's on a really cool shelf.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
It's just, and it was cool because that whole experience was about telling our own stories through our art and how we saw it. So they, had every piece. You could hear my everybody, not just mine, everybody's, story. And if you're listening, you could really hear, you could, go on an app and listen to that story. So I always tell people, don't forget that piece, because that piece is something separate from the description that we all were able to create, and how well they took care of us. Like, they were like, Jenny, what do you think? Is it what you expected? And I'm going, damn, like, this is way more than I expected. Like, my piece is sitting up here on this floating shelf that was created for me. It was painted the exact color that I wanted it to be painted. Then they created an area at the bottom built up so that people wouldn't stand on it or step on it. And I wanted it to be beans and rice, because such a staple food, right? You think about your sopa, your arroz, that with the beans. I remember we used to put it. I remember putting it all together, like smashing it, and then eating it like almost like a pizza, but each little sliver of your beans and rice mixed together, and then you get your tortilla. Then you have but I couldn't put beans and rice in the piece because it's a Nelson.
Right.
And you can't have organic things because they could come with bugs and et cetera, right? So there's a lot of limitations to certain things, but I could come up with something else. And so I had to buy rocks that looked like beans, and I went through and I did kind of like that.
Cleaning
when
the
you're
beans.
Cleaning the beans, right?
I
did that. And they were like watching me kind of from a distance as I was doing that, because I was setting up to put kind of like a mandala, or like if you're going to do like a sand painting for an altar, you're going to put different designs, and I love doing that. So I was like, this has to be a part of it, and incorporating it was white. What was it? Kind of like just like a certain kind of a rock, and then the little stones that were brown that were the beans.
Okay.
And so
it's all about presentation.
That's what's up.
So that's the piece.
You know, one thing I wanted to ask about that, like, how would you know when it's finished? Being that there are so many different, things that memories, so many different, what you want to add to it or to maybe take away from it. But like, how something so
run out of space,
emotional,
maybe.
Something so emotional that means to you, and there could be a dozen different things. I'm sure, like how would you know when you're done with that?
It was hard. It was like kind of like when I don't know, anything like, you guys are working on something, whether it's something at your house or you're fixing a car, whatever it is, right? And you're like, you get to that point where it's like, okay, I think I got it.
Right.
So that happens, not all the time.
Right.
But I had worked so many. I mean, like, I would come home from work, and if an artist isn't just like, people assume like you just pick up the paintbrush. I'm sure you've heard from many artists say that too, right? People say, "Oh, I could do that," or "I could." It's like, it's not really that. It's hard. It's difficult to explain. It's like you got to kind of be in that moment, right? And so coming home from work or whatever it was, and then I went home. I had to feel it, and because I also felt the pressure of doing great.
Why? Because it's in the Nelson?
Enough. Yeah, and because...
Well, what it represents.
Yeah, everything.
Right.
Because two, I had the pressures of my own pressures, not anybody else's.
Sure. But
my own pressures of being good enough, making sure that I showed out. Because if I'm going to do a painting for this particular group, 22 artists that got chosen, it's like, damn, like I have to really do a hell of a job.
Right.
And so my own pressures that I put on myself, stress, you know, and working nightly. Some days I would work. If I was in the groove, like I would really paint till 1 o'clock in the morning, right?
Yeah,
like,
you'd be on it.
And then in the morning I'd be like, oh my God, you know, like so
why
tired.
did I stay up so late?
Yeah. And then I'm not young anymore. Can't be doing all that. But you know, and then getting up to work and then hoping that, you know, that inspiration comes back that night again. And then I'm a procrastinator. And so I do my best work when I'm in the moment, like really that pressure. So I knew that couldn't happen.
Yeah.
Even though it did kind of at the end, but I had already started weeks ahead, right? But at the very end, man, I went full force.
That's awesome.
And that's when I had to be like, okay, I think I'm done.
Yeah.
And I knew that it was due the following day. So even though you asked, like, how do you know? It's like, well, you kind of you put yourself on that timeline too.
Yeah.
You're on a timeline for real.
Right.
And then you're like, your expectation is, you know, through the roof.
How much time do you think that one took you?
I'd say it probably took me over a series of weeks. I would say maybe 20 hours, you know, maybe, you know, and then those last minute like detail stuff, you know. But like I said, increments of maybe an hour here, 2 hours, 4 hours, you know, and then boiling it down to those last minutes. And it was so funny when we got in there and I had to bring my piece, and there they were waiting for me, and they strolled it in. And I've done stuff with the Nelson, so I know what it's like to see the background of the behind the scenes, right? So I was very familiar with all that. Yeah. But it was just weird because it was for me, my piece, and then the woman that was handling, like she's like, she does all the detail. You know, I can't remember her position, but somebody I didn't know, and she was real nice, and she was going through it, and she had white gloves, and she was going through, and she said, so when did you paint that last finish on it? And I was like, I totally was like,
an hour ago.
When I was in the parking lot right now, when I was working.
Because I had spray painted the box and then added the details on. But for real, I had done that the night before, like real. I was up all night, so it was pretty.
It was still fresh. It was still fresh.
And she knew because she could smell it.
Oh.
I couldn't smell it. I didn't really think about it like that, right? But, you know, come on, that's her job. And and I just laughed. I thought, like, oh, wow, that's the reason
why she holds that position, whatever it is.
Exactly.
Right?
I was like, hey. And it was nothing big. But to me, I was like, oh, crap, I just got busted. You know? But, you know, I mean, it happens. You know, that last second, that last minute is key to feeling good about it, right?
You know, and that's almost similar to what even the other artists that we talk to that have been fortunate to be there with you and have their paintings and their drawings and their creations, right?
Juan, Vanya,
you know,
Rodrigo,
they're all like, you know, man, we had to put it together. We had to make it happen, right? And I applaud you and all of them, man, for that. You know, I
think it's beautiful. Like, you know, just hearing you describe that piece, Jenny, just how much it means to you to create that, because, like you said, like that's. I will put it this way: it's almost like your heart on display. You know, your heart and your childhood on display. And I will say, like, when I talked to like Isaac Tapia about his painting he did for his parents,
my God,
and you know, Rodrigo, you know, for the metal art he did, the spider, you know, and certainly Juan describing that, you know, the West Side, you know, and like that, like and Vanya, you know, her grandmother, you know, and her art, you know, like that's your heart on display for anybody to see. So you put a lot of care and passion into it. That's awesome.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I want to do more of that. You know, it's like that's what, you know, is what I should be doing. And it's like, okay, I got to get to that spot, right? You know, and hopefully just push myself. It's like that. I needed that push. And good thing that Stephanie Fox, who's the curator, gave me the push that I needed. She goes, you think about it over the weekend, but I'd really love for you to put a piece in. And I was like, no.
That's crazy.
I'll give you the names you know, of other people, because she was looking for, you know, going off a list she already had, and I added a few names, you know, and I won't say exactly who I added, but there's a few that are pretty obvious who I added. But you know, and that's cool. I don't want any of that credit. I want that person to know, though, that, man, I thought about you because you needed to be in that list, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And her to push me to say, think about it over the weekend, and then me coming back and.
Well, she said she felt the same way about you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, just like that, man.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, like that's why, like Dira and I, you know, putting Interrupt KC together, like that's exactly it, Jenny. Like, you know, who is out here that's been doing great shit for years, and their names don't get put on the list to be talked to all the time, you know, or to hear their story, you know. So I want to go back to something though. You were talking about murals, Jenny. So those murals back on 23rd. Are those spray paint or paint roll-on?
Paint.
Okay.
So a lot of brush and roll, but mainly brush. I mean, and even the last one that we did, which was a collaboration between me and Leanne, and I was in college by that point and at the Art Institute, you know. So we were like, let's do this together. We came up with this great idea and design work, and then we took it to the people that were paying the bills, right? So we took it to them, and it was funny because one of those people happened to be my boss now, John Fierro, and he was working at the Guadalupe Center at the time, and so we had taken it to a panel of a lot of different people, and one of the things that, because the piece was based around Guadalupe Posada, the printmaker, and so the work was black and white in the center with beautiful floral design around the outside. And that was like mine and hers collab, right? I was going to do the floral piece, and she was going to do the main piece that would be in the center. And one of the things that Jose Guadalupe Posada is known for is Day of the Dead. His images of Day of the Dead, especially like the Katrina image. That's his image. That gets all over bags and artwork, T-shirts, all the stuff. So, so it was giving him, you know, the respect that he needed as an artist and kind of educating. And so she was a teacher too, an art teacher. So she was in that same breath of educating people. And so bringing Day of the Dead at that time, which was probably around, gosh, I don't know, I'm going to get it wrong, maybe 91. To kind of understand and know Day of the Dead wasn't a big thing then. So nobody was doing Day of the Dead. And so although people, especially, and my boss, John, will talk about this, he'll say, yeah, it was really crazy. It's like all these images of skeletons, and we were like, what is happening? he'll tell that story, and I'm just like, you know, like, what are you doing? But like, is she satanic or something? You know, whatever.
I'm curious, though, Jenny, like, how many murals would you say you've done in the city?
I've been a part of probably 8, if not 10 murals. And you're talking about stuff, too, that's been redone. So, like the mural on Southwest Boulevard that's on the storage facility, we've done that twice, you know?
Right.
Yeah, and so, but I had that was like one of my first that I did by myself and had students working with it and worked with the owners of the storage facility and kind of, you know, created, and then we redid it, and it's been there for some years now.
It's been there a while.
That too.
And so, and then just others. I did one at a restaurant. I did, you know, so there's like stuff that, you know, once you're on the street, people come up to you just like Isaac and Rico. I'm sure, I don't know how they do it because I bet people are stopping them on a regular basis. Yeah. Just like Gear and Scribe. It's like those guys, any muralists that are out there doing, whether it's graffiti work or whether it's murals, you know, outside of a building, outside of a restaurant or something, you get stopped. And I'm a talker, so of course, I'm going to take, the time is taken away from where I should be painting.
Right.
And so, you know, but yeah, I mean, it feels such a lifetime ago doing that kind of stuff, you know, but it definitely stays with me and it's in my heart. And that whole idea of like, you know, what's that next generation of muralists now? I mean, look at what Isaac and Rico are doing. You know, it's like, wow. Look what like Jose Faust and other artists, Alicia Gambino and others were doing when they did like the Argentine mural and the other murals at like on the River Market. I mean, you know, that's like huge. Those are different eras of time that people were working on and what murals mean and how important they are. You know, I had somebody in the neighborhood that was not Hispanic said something about, well, why do you have to always do murals about the Mexican culture? And I thought, I don't know, like, what do you mean? Like, that's pretty obvious. I mean, when you look at history and you think of ancient history, when you go back to the Aztecs and the Mayans and the Olmecs and whatever, you know, it's like there's murals that were done you know, in the most important special places, their tombs and the pyramids, all that, you know, and it's like, that's part of our history to tell stories through murals. Or
the carvings, everything that they created,
like,
you know.
It's all a part of storytelling, you know, and I thought if you have a story to tell, do your own mural of your own, whatever background that is, you know, and it's just funny that you still get those questions from people.
Oh, man,
you know,
I know, we know exactly what you're talking about.
You know, and you're just like, right? Hey, I was there at the, you know, just Gage Park steps, you know, whatever you want to say, like, you know, that kind of stuff. I know Juan mentioned it, and I thought, good for him that he mentioned that, because how important, you know, it's a part of history that if we want to tell it through a mural, if we want to tell it through a piece of art, and whether it's on a space like our space here in our cultural center, or whether it's at the Nelson, being able to tell your story through your art or through your painting, whatever that is, you know, that's, I mean.
I know you said about the creation you did for the Nelson, right? And that, I would assume, is probably the most sentimental one, pretty close to it. Do you have a one that you're most proud of any of your paintings? Something that you sit back or you see or that you know of or got a picture of, and you're like, yeah, I did that one.
Or maybe one nobody's seen yet.
Yeah, there's I mean, there's some pieces that pretty proud of, but they're like so old that it's kind of funny. Like now it's like,
everybody says that.
I did that, right? Like what?
I like to see them. I like to see them.
I know and I did a lot of self-portraits while I was in my Frida phase, before Frida was cool. And Leanne Perez, she was the one that like really introduced me to the work of Frida Kahlo and Diego Rivera. And she said, Jenny, you have got to go to Chicago, to the Mexican Fine Arts Center Museum, and you've got to go to Mexico whenever you get the opportunity. And I was there, you know, and it's like being able to get that, to be influenced by other artists, you know, and Frida at that time period, nobody really knew her. Or, you know, she was starting to kind of show up and stuff. And of course she was, you know, had passed away a long time before that. But at the same time, it's like, you know, things start happening, or even like in the 90s when like it was cool, like to the culture, you know, ethnic, you know, people were, you know, wearing cool stuff that showed pride, you know, and all that
Eagle,
stuff.
The flag,
you know, tattoos.
I try to do it all the time. I try to do it all the time.
You know, and it's like that whole thing, you know, think about like in the 90s when all that ethnicity. And so when I was in college in the early 90s, it's like it wasn't it was kind of a new thing, but not, you know, but I think my professors were pretty accepting of me doing this artwork that was kind of different and more reflective on my culture compared to doing abstract art or and so that's what I was doing, was a lot of self-portraits, and I look at those now and I'm like, what was I thinking? Or they're not too bad, but some of them, but yeah, I mean, my favorite piece, I guess, would just have to be, right for now, be the piece at the Nelson.
Okay.
Nice,
you know,
nice. I love you know, your boy used to get down on some art too back in the day.
He drew himself several times.
A lot. A lot of real quick sketches, man. They're pretty funny.
There's a lot of people that you know are very talented, right? You know, and it's just if they don't feel like they're good enough, or that they've, you know, but here, like the work that I've been doing for 28 years. Here at Mattie Rhodes has been, you know, finding those moments of time to talk to people that maybe don't quite feel that they would be invited to be a part of a show, and so you're always invited, Daniel.
But you know, I was actually telling my wife too. I was like, man, maybe I need to get back into this because I'm talking to so many different artists. And I swear, I did used to get down a little bit. Like I even painted some murals before too, you know, and it was for like a car shop or whatever, you know, stuff like that. Cool. But it's still cool, and I got pictures of them.
Yeah,
I'm like, man, so I look back at them pictures, JL, and I'm like, man, I could have had a Nelson piece, you know.
You could have.
Wow. Anyways.
Yeah, I think just a photo of you should go into the Nelson, man.
Oh, my God.
Good looking guy.
On, man. Come on, man.
So Jenny, you know, let's talk about your coming to Mattie Rhodes. Okay. Yeah. So you went to school, you graduated. What did you graduate in? Like, what degree? Or
it's a Bachelor of Fine Arts.
Fine Arts?
So, yeah. So it's like, you know, and it can get you a job, you know, teaching professionally.
Sure.
You know, like on college level, you still got to get certified to be a certain teacher, like grade school, high schools, you know, all that. But I was wanting to teach.
Mm-hmm.
And so that last semester, it was kind of like this job came up and I took it. And it was at the Kansas City, Missouri School District. At the time, that's what it was called, KCMSD.
Yeah.
But now it's KCPS, right?
Yeah,
So working with the district, and I was a paraprofessional to get my feet right in, right? You know, just kind of like stepping in it, and then I never looked back. It was like, okay, let me see what I can do, and I ended up, you know, I was like getting paid the most. I had so many credit hours from the Art Institute. I couldn't really go any further. I spent 5 years as a para and as a art instructor substitute. So I wasn't a certified teacher.
Yeah.
So I was an assistant teacher, is what a para is.
Sure.
And I was doing the work of so many teachers, and then I was also helping so many teachers.
Yeah.
And I thought, what am I doing? Like, I need to. And then I get the call, and I got the call that somebody was leaving teaching position at the Art Center here at Mattie Rhodes, and they were like, you have to apply. And so I was like, okay, I think I will. And within that time frame, I was also asked to be on the board of Mattie Rhodes due to Leanne Perez being on the board. And she asked, she told me, hey, you know, Jenny, you should really be on the board. You know, they have their art center. So I was volunteering at the art center, got appointed on the board, and within a week, I had to decline and had to like get off the board. And I
because you took the job.
Because I took the job as an art instructor. So starting at Mattie Rhodes, it'll be 29 years in November.
Wow.
You know, I was still young and just being able to say, you know, I really want to make a difference. I love the idea of working here at Mattie Rhodes. When I was in high school, I tried to get a job. I was like, wait, I remember going to this really cool place in my neighborhood. Yeah. You know, I lived on 26th Street. This is 17th. Not like we could walk. My mom was not going to let us walk over here. It wasn't until later, you know. But as a kid, coming here as a little girl to the art center, you know, and remembering what it looked like and how it felt to walk in a cool space with just art, you know. And that was what is now our ceramic studio. So you're talking about in the 70s, you know, like I was probably 7, 8, 9 years old. And that memory stayed with me, just like I know and hope, and I know it does, and I hope it does, stay with so many kids that walk through our doors, whether it's through this cultural center or through our art center. And being able to come back and say, hey, are you guys hiring? They're like, oh, we're not hiring. And then later on as a college student, no, we're not hiring. And then going, okay, this is my opportunity now. It's like, yes, like I want to be able to work here.
That's awesome.
You know, and accepted the position, started working at Mattie Rhodes as a teacher, and then the director position kind of came up kind of quickly within probably a year or two.
Okay.
And I thought, I can do this, you know, and so really just timing has been on my side.
Wow.
I mean, you know, whether it was getting into the Art Institute just at the right time and having that right person help with make that happen, to Stephanie, the curator at the Nelson, saying, you really need to do this. Or, you know, and just like all these things I can look back on and say, you know, that timing was great, you know, and great opportunities happen when you just say yes and you accept it and you kind of, without even knowing. I didn't know that was going to happen. I didn't know I really thought I was going to be at Mattie Rhodes for 2 or 3 years because I could get that experience. And then
look at you now.
And then look at it. It's like 2 or 3 years.
29 years, you said?
29 in November.
Man, D-Rod, you know what that is?
Man, I know exactly what that is.
Man, that's a salute, Jenny.
Salute, Jenny. Salute to you, for real.
For sure.
You know, what I wanted to ask about that, too, is the growth, right? So in comparison to when you started and even, well, hell, even, would you say 10 years, you know, 10 years ago, how much has that growth been?
It's just amazing, you know, to see, like, our first year of why we even opened up the gallery space, because the Art Center was there, you know, since I was a kid, right? So the Art Center, and that's what I think is cool about it too, is knowing something since you're a child and knowing the history of the neighborhood, and that's something that's like key to me. So always going back and knowing that, hey, we had this Art Center that I came as a child to. I want to make sure that we remember that and keep that alive, right? And be really careful about losing some of it. So that's always been a piece, that Art Center building, old house, just means so much, you know. And
a lot of history.
Yeah, it's history. And if people just come in, you know, a lot of times new people come in and then they wipe it away.
Man.
And they start new things. So my biggest goal has always been talking to the people that have been here in the past, talking to those people that have experienced it, letting the parents know that this is a place that their children can also be a part of, you know, and on and on and on. Opening up the gallery space 26 years ago, we knew we needed to do something because I was starting to create programming that audiences were coming to that we couldn't fit in the art center.
I know.
It was like crazy. We were like, I did my first Day of the Dead, had an artist come in and do a talk, and it was standing room only. And it was like my boss at the time looked over at me, and I was like, "Ooh, like we need to, you know." And then we went
knock down some walls.
We
make some
went
space.
to work, and then the building next door that had been boarded up for like 25 years. We were the first people to lease the space, and they really wanted it for to be, you know, us that had the space. So that was when we opened up the gallery. And, you know, all those artists back then, some of them are still with us, and that's the coolest part that we can say. Like, we've seen, you know, whether it's Sue Moreno or Maria Vasquez Boyd, like, seen them grow through the years in their own art, change, do new things, to like having like Isaac and Rico that their art teacher worked at Mattie Rhodes, and one of their first shows that they were a part of were because it was connected. Right? There was a connection that was made, a friendship of
the full circle.
You know, and then Jessica and Isaac Rico and even others were, you know, being able to have them a part of the show at the Nelson.
Right.
You know, so it's like Rudy. I was trying to think of Rudy's name. Those three artists that and Jessica's in the show also, so it's like, wow. And I can actually say all of them have exhibited in our space. Not everybody that's in the Nelson, maybe one artist that has not exhibited, but it's like that's a testament to itself there, you know, too. For sure. Artists can connect, reconnect, be able to feel at home in a place, you know, that they can you know, show their artwork and get kind of seen, maybe even sell their artwork. You know? And then I'm always looking at ways of promoting artists, you know, for another project. If somebody calls and says, hey, there's a mural that I would love getting painted, well, here's names of these people.
What do you think are some of the more popular, you know, I don't know, programming that you guys offer here at Mattie Rhodes?
Well, our after-school program is like number one, right? That's the one that goes back the most, you know. So we're talking probably 55 years now of programming with our after-school program. Started in 1971, so do the math.
Yeah.
And but
I don't know what you're talking about.
I know. Yeah, I'm an artist. We don't do math. But you know, that after-school program is key to everything else that's happened, including this brand new building that we're in. You know, it's like that. The after-school program is like the heart of Mattie Rhodes and the oldest running program that Mattie Rhodes, the center as a whole, you know, and so that history of that. But then after that, I would say it would be our summer programming.
Okay.
You know, and our summer art camps have been going on for 20 plus years, you know, and I'd have to go back and really look. I'm sure it's probably a little more than that, but how
important, Jenny, you know, one of the things that I've seen happen over the last, I don't know, 5-10 years especially is, you know, as finances for schools tighten up, art is like one of the first things they want to cut. You know, it's like, let's cut the art.
They always call I remember the term the starving artist.
Oh, yeah.
Right, and I think primarily because of all the supplies at one time. I don't know about now, but I remember there was always really expensive, man, all the supplies.
I mean, I guess, you know, like, what's your opinion on, like, how important art is for young people?
It's huge. I mean, well, without being too corny, but art saves lives. Like, you know, you think about that phrase, and that's true. It's like, not like in a really big way, I guess, but in a, like without even thinking, like kids taking art or feeling like they're connected to something because they don't play sports, they don't do other things, but then they come and they take an art class or they do a summer camp session or they walk in this space and see artwork in it and they feel kind of like at home, or they feel like there's something connected.
Yeah, they're connected.
Or there's some type of, they can express.
Yeah, and you're just like, without that, if there's no art, whether it's visual arts or whether it's music in a school setting in education, how sad is that? That would be so sad. Like, and I think about, like, I am not a singer. I'm not musically inclined at all. But it's like, I remember having music class at grade school and how important that was. It's like, we would be in competitions and stuff. Our music teacher would get us in these things, and I'm just thinking, like, what a great memory and experience that was for me to hold on to, and experience something that I am now like the biggest cheerleader for. Like, I want to make sure that all of our local artists, our local musicians, get their credit where it's due. Right? If I have an event and we have some money, I'm going to pay them to come and play here. Right. I might not have the biggest budget, but if I can pay them something, and then maybe the next time when we have a bigger budget, I can kind of, it's like that, or a DJ that wants to, play, and it's like, I give them, whatever it is, that amount that either they want or I can offer to them. Right. It's like, they want just that idea of being able to have it like something else to put on there.
Yeah. Well, to be a part of any type of event or celebration or whatever it may be, for them to be a part of it, regardless. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty cool.
It's cute.
That therapy, to go back on them kids, right? So, art. We're talking about art and kids, man, and I can imagine that, when you get a young child who's interested, who raises that eyebrow, like, oh, I can do this, I can do that, and you see that transformation of what may be a sad to say, maybe a broken child, because you guys also deal with a lot of that as well, right? And then just seeing the transformation and that therapy that it may help with them to know that they can create something. That has to be a great feeling for you.
It's great because like when you see a kid come in and then you realize after you've seen them, maybe years, and they say, "Wow, this made such a big difference in my life. If I hadn't come in to get art after school program or whatever that was," and we hear it. I've seen kids that have come in and you don't even realize what's happening. I'm not an art therapist. My staff is an art therapist, but we have therapists that are on staff at Mattie Rhodes as a whole. But art is used so much for it's, we become therapists even when we don't want to be. Yeah. Because those students, through the years, when I first started, and I had two particular young men that would show up at my door every day. Some days I'd be like, what is happening right now? Like, why are they here? Yeah. I loved them both, and they both had they were related, they're cousins, and I can give them both a shout out. Angelo Castilla and Eric Boulware. So they were here all the time at the Art Center, and they were here, and I would and I just started, so I was they were testing me out. I was testing them too. Like, wait a minute, like what's, but truly they wanted to come and make stuff. They were here because they loved it and they felt connected to what was happening at that art center. Yeah. And so we worked with them pretty much daily. They'd show up in my office and just sit on my couch that I had at my office at the time. Yeah. And I'd be typing away, doing some report or doing something, and then I'd turn around and be like, "Oh, what's up?" And they'd say, "Nothing." And I'd say, "What's up?" And then they would tell me whatever was really up, right? What was happening in their life, whether it was school, whether it was at home. Sure. And we were their safe space. And it's going to get me choked up.
It's all right.
And so, like, one went one way, one went the other. And, and it was like just a realization of like how important that was for them as kids, right? And I use this story. I haven't used it recently, but I've used it in the past, and because they're that's a true story that I can say and really reflect on that. Like, wow, these two guys, one ended up going into the military, the other one, he wasn't doing too good at one point. He's doing great now, but it's like how that, and when he went off on his own thing and didn't see him for a while, and would run into his mom and ask about him, and she would tell me, "Oh, Jenny, this and that," and then when he came back, where'd he go? He came right up to my office, right to the art center.
Wow. Yeah.
And in both of them, even Angelo, who went into the military, was like, when he comes back to Kansas City, he always stops to see me. And
that has to be heartfelt.
Oh yeah,
man.
totally,
I mean, completely, obviously.
Wow. And those are like, and those are my boys. It's like, and they know it. They know that. And if I had to ask them for something, I know they would come through for it.
For sure.
And I might have to ask Eric 3 and 4 or 5 and 6 times, but he'll eventually come through. But,
come on, Eric.
Yeah. But and it's just great to see where they're at in their lives now. And Angelo has kids, and they've come through the program. They live in California, so in the summer when they come, they've come through the program. That's cool. We have kids from California that come to the art center. And so. But yeah, it means a lot, and there's so many other stories. I mean, just some kids that don't even have art supplies, and if we can give them something for them to take home. I mean, when the pandemic happened, and everybody was in their house and stuff, we went to work. I mean, we went to work. I told my staff, we got to do something. Let's figure out how we can come up with some art kits that we can send out to kids, and we sent like over 300 art kits. We had people picking them up right in front of our door. At that time, nobody knew nothing.
Right. Yeah.
I would watch them because I'd come into work because I wanted to.
Right.
And I would watch them come up to the doorway of the art center and pick up an art kit, and then I'd knock on the window, and they'd look up and they'd wave at me, and I was like, that was something, and they'd ask me, "Can I get 2?" And I'd be like, "Yes, take 2, whatever it was," and being able to know that people were still relying on us on the worst of times, right? And when things just weren't right, and then we were still here after that. We did art camp the first year right after the pandemic was kind of going away, not going away, but it was shifting. Yeah. People were getting out more, and so we did an art camp, and we picked up kids on the curbside. We didn't do the normal rotation and having lunch all together. Everybody, it was different, but we did it.
You had to adapt to it.
Yeah, we survived, and we just think about how important that was. Not only to the kids and the families, but it was important to us. And I had this weird feeling. We were doing Day of the Dead, and it was all virtual, and we had 5 families show up and do altars at the time.
Oh wow!
And we had to time it out right, and then we did it. We did like them explaining their altar and going through all of it, and it was just such a different thing. And I kept thinking something's not right, and I couldn't put my finger on it all. And me and Kiki at the time, who was here as gallery coordinator, we were just like talking about it. It was like, and I finally as we kept talking and bringing it up, like it kept coming up in the conversation, and it was like, you know what it is? We're not seeing anybody.
Yeah.
That's what we live for. That's what I live for. It's like I want to be able to interact with people through art.
That's what art's about,
right? And it's like, and that wasn't happening. And especially during Day of the Dead, when that emotion is there, your every piece of it is a part of art and creation and somebody and remembrance, and you're like, not to have that that collaboration with people or just conversation.
That's social. You got to have that social interaction.
That was it. We were missing that. And so when we opened back up and had our first Day of the Dead here in this space, it was like so more heartfelt than ever before, And so continuing on that path and being able to provide a space, a safe space, open space, a space that can accept everybody, whether you're a high school student that's just starting out, or you're a person that says, I've done artwork but I've never shown before, or the artist that shows a lot throughout Kansas City and has done several exhibits or has done, it's like we take it all, and that's a lot different than what a lot of galleries in the normal set of galleries do, like in the Crossroads,
You guys are also like in Northeast too, right?
Mm-hmm. Our building in Northeast.
So what is that building exactly?
That's our administrative building, but it also has all of our social services, the mental health that happens for families, individuals. We do have a youth development program that's based off of there that does deal with art, and that's where Gear's working. So Gear's one of the instructors.
I have a request for that building.
Oh,
is there any way?
Oh, shit. I already know what you're gonna say, man.
Is there any way we could put an elevator in that building?
Oh, I know. Right?
Oh my god!
Go up there on the third floor, whatever you want to call it.
When we interviewed Gary, we're like, all right, cool, here it is. He was like, it's all the way up. I was like, what?
Man, we got up there and I was
no
like,
elevator.
oh man.
Hey, but them windows, man, made it cool off pretty good.
It was cool, yeah.
No,
cool.
And the mural in the building.
Oh man,
both of them.
Come on,
Rodrigo and man, they
and then
did
the other older one that's on the side of the woman that was done by Jose Fausto. You're talking about just some really cool art. And Northeast lacks in it as much as it is down in the Midtown and then West Side. The more murals that are in neighborhoods like that, not just the Mexican culture, but the many cultures that are over in the Northeast. It's crazy, but it's great the work that happens over there too.
Yeah, you brought up sorry, Joe. You brought up the Northeast and the other programs you have there, and which I wanted to ask you about that too, because with your after school program here, you have some other ones, right, that help other adults or families and stuff like that. You want to talk about that a little bit?
So we have, we have a domestic violence program that's really been going on for, I don't even know how many years, but as many years as I've been here and longer. And it's such a taboo type of thing to talk about, but at the same time, it's happening in our communities.
Absolutely.
It's happening right next door to us, and that program, the people that work the program, that particular program, they're in it, man. Talk about, they go to court. They're advocates for these women. They do whatever that's needed to be done for these women. If it's at middle of the night, early in the morning, whatever. And so it's nice that Maddie Rhodes can continue and get the funding to be able to provide those services for these women. That's so important. And working with other places like Rose Brooks and others that are providing safe spaces for, and then we have our drug and alcohol abuse program, Luis Cordoba, that really deals with so many young people and then adults that are dealing with addiction. And then we have a community program that's fairly new, that we also have young people that are going out into the Northeast neighborhood and dealing with the violence straight on.
Wow.
And that's those young people.
There's a lot going on over there too.
Oh man, there's so much going on, and it needs so much attention and just the things, the resources that a lot of times aren't happening. It's such a vast neighborhood. It's not like the West Side where it's just like here, right? 31st to whatever. It's like, it's such a beyond
wide range of incidents.
We raised our kids there, for 12 years, and I'm thinking, man, if they weren't into sports, I don't know what they would have been into. And good thing we were taking them. Their dad was coaching, so of course he was, involved in all that, and getting them where they needed to go, and picking up other kids, and
they better not mess with Ed.
I know, right?
Man, I already know, man.
So he was doing his thing, and we were, and not even realizing like what an effect that had on our kids, because what then would have happened if they didn't have that, and what about other kids that are living there now? If they're not having a program like Maddie Rhodes there,
right?
There's so much that wrong that they could be doing,
So let me ask you, with that being said, Jenny, if there's people that need help, is there a website? Is that something that you offer them that they can get into to offer some type of assistance or help with that? Can you give that website?
Yeah, our website is www.maddierhodes.org, and Maddie Rhodes, you got to spell it right. I laugh when the kids spell it, but it's Mattie, and then Rhodes, Rhodes. And so one of my favorite pieces of artwork is I love Maddie Rhodes, spelled Maddie, and Rhodes spelled Rose, and they drew a rose.
Aww.
It's like,
hey, that's close enough.
That's close enough. But MaddieRhodes.org, and I know that like the Northeast facility that's there on First and Topping, they have a certain, there's people that are taking intake, that are taking in, we get the calls a lot down here, and I have to transfer them over.
Right.
And a lot of times I hear all the stories before I'm able to say, it's not the right number, let me transfer you.
Right.
But, a lot of times, and we have like, that program, a community program that offers assistance. So we get a lot of that, those calls that are saying, I know that Maddie Rhodes offers assistance for utilities, for, rent, and being able to provide those types of resources to people. It's like key. I think one of our biggest things is giving families what they need to be successful.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And if that's a scholarship to be a part of our summer art camp, if that's a youth development program that's working with doing graffiti with gear, that's cool.
Yeah.
If it's, having the domestic violence program is something to help that woman get her and her children in a better place, or it's just regular counseling because my child is having struggles at school, and I need to see a therapist, and being able to get on that waiting list if there is a waiting list, because a lot of times there's a waiting list only because we need more therapists, we need more people that are working in the mental health area, so that people can be successful, and so that's key, sure. Key to what we do and what we believe in.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you, Jenny, because I don't even know that I know this answer. Maddie Rhodes, not Maddie Rose. Maddie Rhodes.
Just said it.
I was thinking about what your art you described. The name Maddie Rhodes. Mm-hmm. Where does that come from? I'm sitting here like, do I even know where Maddie Rhodes?
Do you know the story?
I know.
Oh, okay, good.
I don't. So, and there's probably other people like,
no.
You want to tell? You want me to tell? No.
I'll tell it.
Okay.
So she was a young girl that lived here in Kansas City, Maddie Florence Rhodes.
Okay.
And she died. Well, she was alive in the late 1800s. She was a part of a Sunday school group called the Little Gleaners, and they were there at the Episcopal Church that's over, I think, on the east side, and so that was her church, and she was able to do all the stuff to really help the poor and needy of Kansas City. And that's back in the late 1800s.
And she was young. She was young.
She was 18 years old.
Wow.
And she ended up contracting typhoid fever, which was really, prevalent during that time period because of water and purification, all that stuff. So on her deathbed, she asked her mother to take the $500 that she had saved and give it back to her Sunday school group, the Little Gleaners, and so that they could continue the work of helping the poor and needy in Kansas City.
Yeah.
$500 was a heck of a lot of money.
I was going to say, that's a lot of money back then.
You know how much it was?
What'd you say? How much it equals now?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, in equivalents.
Oh, yeah. It's like, now I think it's like $2,000 to $4,000, something like that.
Yeah. I think in that time frame, because I pulled it up, in that time frame, $100 equaled $3,600.
Oh, see, there you go. Wow, yeah, so that's way more than what I was
So, and this young girl had $500.
Yeah, that's like
you know what I mean?
$14,000.
Yeah, so way more than what I was thinking.
And in that time frame, that went a long way, man.
So, her family was pretty well known in Kansas City as far as I don't know what their work was or what they had done, but they were buried at Elmwood Cemetery, which is Elmwood is where all of the people that started Kansas City are buried. It's such a history. So when we went one year to visit her gravesite, it was like, wow, it says Rhodes, and then she's a part of the whole family.
Where's she buried at?
Elmwood.
Oh, Elmwood.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So it's right there on Truman Road.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the one. That's where all the big time people, are buried from the history of Kansas City, and being able to see that that's where her family. So they were prevalent.
Okay.
I mean, they had money. They weren't. It wasn't like she was a poor girl, but at the same time, she did all these great things to be able to save her own money to then give back to Kansas City. And so we want to carry, we have done a great job, I think, of carrying her legacy.
Come on.
All these years, 130 years of an amazing legacy.
That's incredible.
You know what that is? Man, that's a tequila shot.
That is a tequila shot.
No, but
bottle.
that's a quite great story. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that really don't know
the story. Yeah,
man.
We love telling that story about her, and and she's with us in whatever form that is. It's like the work that we do daily to those specific families that come in and we're able to help, and whether it's here on the west side or over in Northeast or wherever in Kansas City, honestly, because we go, that's one thing about Maddie Rhodes, we're going to go where we're needed.
Yeah.
For sure.
And that's part of it.
You're definitely carrying on that tradition that she
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
How many staff does Maddie Rhodes have now?
We have I think the last time we talked about it, close to 60, around that amount.
Okay.
And some of them are part-time, so we don't see a lot of our part-timers as much as we see the ones that are full-time. But yeah, it's pretty close to that. And, back when I started, I want to say, there was probably about 25 of us, maybe.
Okay.
And
so you almost tripled almost.
Yeah. So we've really grown, like you said, the growth. I mean,
the growth is
talk
phenomenal.
about the growth of Maddie Rhodes as a whole. 130 years. I mean,
well, even with the other building in Northeast, and you still have the the original one here.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Have you ever done a wine and paint thing here for?
We have. I've done it a couple of times.
Did you get better or worse as more you drank? Be honest.
I taught it.
You're the instructor. Yeah, she's the instructor. But everybody else gets all crazy with it.
Yeah. But no, it's fun. Those are fun.
Is that just like whenever on the fly you guys do that or something?
Yeah, like if people request it, we will.
Like a party or something.
Yeah, but what I like to do is kind of do a twist on that. Like the
have
idea.
A blindfolded.
Doing instead of doing just the whole paint kind of thing, maybe and we've done this before, do a workshop. People are always asking us, can I do clay? Can I come in and do a clay class? Yeah. Can I do an adult? Do you guys ever offer adult summer art camp? And we're like, hey, so years ago, we did a throwback to the 70s, Maddie Rhodes 70s stuff. So we did tie-dye and we did candle making.
Did you ever come in with an outfit too? The big flyaway collars and stuff?
Was that when people were like, no, never mind. Never mind.
What? Come on, man. Come on.
I was thinking of 70s. What were people drinking back then in the 70s?
They're drinking, beer-wise, they're probably drinking Schlitz.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Some of the hams.
70s and Schlitz, malt liquor.
Man, I still drink Schlitz whenever I see it, man. That's how old school I am.
Yeah.
Jenny, I wanted to ask you about another exhibit that you guys started here. I'm guessing, correct me if I'm wrong, was the Mujer exhibit, right? And you started that, I think, in 22. Is that 2 years old?
Well, we did it. We've done it since we started. It was one of our first exhibit years ago. But then we stopped doing it. We would kind of mix it up, and do a different exhibit in March, and then come back to it. And so, since we opened this space, we just had our third. This one in March was our third one here in this new space, and so it's one of our premier ones, right? Because we're known for Day of the Dead, of course, in October and November. And then we're also known for May doing something that's related to Chicano, and we run that through June. So we have a longer run, and we've been doing our pachanga for probably 10 years now, maybe not quite 10, but which is just a party for the show, the exhibit. But an art party.
I think I'm almost at almost all of them.
And so, and then in March for the Mujer, going back to that and really taking it the next step. So what we've done the past couple of years or 3 years now has we've created a Mujer Symposium, a women's symposium. So we do a Saturday programming and do other programming if we can to kind of fit it in, because that's where you kind of miss out, because if we can get people in the door is when they're going to see the work, right? If our first Fridays are always going to be key to the main audience of seeing the exhibit.
First
so
Fridays.
If we can run 2 months and have 2 First Fridays, and that's even better. So that's why May and June are always great. March, though, because it's the beginning of the year, it's kind of a kickoff to the whole season of exhibits. And but our Mujer exhibit, really celebrating women. This year, I kind of just reached back into the where the dust is,
down
the
in
cobwebs.
The
it just kind of went, let's call everybody back into being in the show. So I think I had 35 women that were a part of the show, mainly Latinas, but the majority just of women in general. It was
some beautiful art here. I remember.
It was really nice, and being able to really celebrate them, and then with our symposium, go that extra step of giving a moment of time and a safe space for women to be able to share, to be able to get connected. you know, and any kind of opportunity that we could give. We had a fashion show. We did a bunch of cool stuff. So I want to continue that. You know, it's like almost like a new little tradition now that we started. Yeah. So yeah.
I have an exhibit in mind for you guys.
Oh no, I'm waiting.
I'm thinking like title it like Chingon exhibit, and like let people bring their art for that. I'm serious because like that word has been used on this show so many times by our guests, Latino or not, and you know we all have different definitions of what chingona means, and I think it would be really cool to see artists contribute to what they feel chingon means.
I wanted to do a workshop during Chicano exhibit that was based around Chingon, and just being able to create some really cool, you know, fun stuff that just, you know, cultural fun, being able to, but you know, time gets away, and I didn't even get a chance to. The time frame kind of passed me, but yeah, no, it's that would be a good one. I mean, it goes along a lot with the Chicano theme, you know. Because we can change that up. We can create what that means, you know. Like, you know, it could be Chicano Chingon. And what does that mean? You know, and having the artist kind of, you know, create from that. Because it's nice. You know, through the years, it's been interesting how artists either hate or love a theme.
Oh, I'm sure.
And, you know, and then it's like, and then you take it the next step and say, okay, now we're really going to get you. You know, when we've done our Loteria exhibits in the past, and we're actually bringing that back this December. So we're excited about that show, you know, and giving everybody a card. And they got to pick the card out of the Loteria deck and then create the work. In the past, man, those were some of our best exhibits, you know. So it's like creating opportunities like that, like doing a Chingon show. I'm with you.
That'd be dope.
We might even submit something for that. Like,
don't get me started.
I like a photo of me and D-Rod just standing there.
We'll do our own self-portrait.
Yeah, exactly.
No, you
there's
brought
our photo.
Yeah, that'd be badass. So I'm down with it. You brought up the First Fridays, right? So I mean, those that know you, that know everything, come here a lot. You know, for those that don't know, right? What's our First Fridays look like here, man? I know that, I mean,
I always say, like, when people come in, like, from out of town, I love it when we get visitors, like, that'll just show up. Hey, I was told to come by here, and, you know, they're from California, they're from Chicago, wherever they're from. They say, and especially if they're Latino, and they're, like, looking at us like, oh, yeah, I'm from Chicago, but dang, this is good. You guys are doing it up. Or from L.A. or something, you know. It's like, great, you know, and then I'll name drop people to see if they know them, and then, you know, maybe they do. But I think what's cool is that we can throw a hell of a party.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what I always tell them, or just any visitor, really, that says, you know, oh, I've never been here before. And I'm like, well, you should come back. Come to our First Fridays, because we throw a heck of a party. You know? And it's really about community, you know, making connections, people, just that camaraderie that happens when we're all gathering, kind of like we talked about before. What were we missing during those years of COVID, you know? And you're just like, it was that, you know, and being able to have that, I don't know, friendship, connection, social aspect of people gathering. And then they realize after the second Sabrina Rita.
Shout out Sabrina, man.
Shout out to Sabrina Harris, you know, my right-hand woman.
Yes.
And she we've perfected the recipe that came to us years ago, and she has gotten it down to a science.
I tell you what, those are brutal, man.
I know
those are pretty brutal.
But people, if they're not, like, if we don't have them, people will get, like, kind of a little disturbed about it. Like,
I've seen it. I've seen it.
Like,
what, you're out?
You're out. Or, exactly. If we run out, then that's a whole other story. But, you know, being able to have an opportunity, not only through alcohol, but just through you know, food trucks, the festivities that happen, being able to support the local retail vendors, the local, you know, whether it's for the food trucks that we are good friends with, or a new one will pop up, or the snacks and stuff that people, whether it's cookies or chamoy, all the different cool stuff that's out now. People are starting up their new businesses, and it's like you got to applaud them, because you're like, that's a huge step.
For sure.
What could I do? Is this going to make me money?
Yeah.
How do I? And so any way we can support that, or support musicians, dance groups, it's like that's our thing, to have a really great way of throwing a great party
for sure,
for some really cool people, and bringing everybody together.
Yeah, that Dia de los Muertos, man. I mean, I come every year, and
crazy.
It's from the car shows, right? From the car show, the bands playing.
Yeah.
It's like you said. So anybody and everybody out there in the audience, man, First Fridays, and even more so Dia de los Muertos, man.
Yeah, and everybody always asks, when do you guys do your Day of the Dead? And I say, it never changes. It's always the first Friday in October and the first Friday in November.
Yeah.
October's the kickoff, so everybody wants to come see all the ofrendas, the altars that people make, and the artwork. But then, and it's a festival, and then November is our parade, and it's a nighttime parade, so you don't want to miss it. We work with Stone Lion Puppets, and because it's darker, in November, it's like we just take advantage of doing a light up parade, and nothing crazy like a parade like St. Pat's Parade or anything like that, or even what KCK is doing. I mean, that parade is awesome for Day of the Dead.
Right.
It's like it's more, ours is a little more neighborhood, community.
True that, but it has grown though.
Oh, it has grown.
It's grown
so much.
from back in the day.
I remember before the parade.
Yeah, and then before the parade.
Before the outside stuff, it was all inside.
Yeah, everything. And so it's like being able to take that, and it's like, what else could we possibly do? So every year we kind of surprise ourselves, and
I'm looking forward to it this year.
A great committee of people that make it happen, and I couldn't do it without them.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's awesome, Jenny. So, I guess what is happening right now here? Like we're in this space right now. You have an exhibit going on, right?
Yes.
You guys always have exhibits. So let's start there. Do you change them monthly, or do certain ones last longer than others? What does that look like?
A little bit of everything that you just said. We've done so much, different things through the years, and with this new space, we've done monthly shows. We kind of stick to like a six exhibit schedule.
Yeah.
6 to 7, and with our Mujer kind of kicking it off. We have our children's exhibit. We didn't get to have one last year, or this year, in April, because of renovations happening to our art center, which are still happening. I'm just like, come on, I can't wait till it's all done. But the older building needed the help, right? It needed new windows. It needed all new stuff. So it's going to be awesome when we get our kids back in this fall. So then the other exhibits, the children's exhibit, normally in the schedule in April, where it's kind of like the end of the school year, where we can highlight all the kids' artwork, and even the kids in Northeast program too get to be a part of it. And then we do May and June Chicano show with our pachanga in June, and then go straight into Day of the Dead, October, November, and then December we've done Our Lady of Guadalupe show, or we switch it up, and like this year we're going to do Lateria. So, those shows are core pretty much. Those months, I should say months, not necessarily shows, but months are core months. And then this summer, normally we close it off kind of in the summer, and we stop. We take a pause, and then we come back at it for Day of the Dead. But this summer, we had some good ideas. We had a new gallery coordinator join us, Charlie Ortiz.
Shout out Charlie, man. I was actually going to give him a shout out.
Yeah, man. Charlie's cool.
He said he was going to come by. I'm like, where is he?
Yeah.
But Charlie started this spring, and really right when Mujer started. His first day, I think, was our symposium, and I had him picking up ice and being our sign-in guy, and it was just like, put him right to work. But he had a show this summer, and it had to be kind of during that time period. So I was like, well, sure, let's make it happen.
Sure.
Was it the best time frame? Even having this show that's up now with Masa, who we're partnering with.
Yeah.
It's like, it's hard because there's so much happening. There's not only construction happening, but there's also summer art camp happening that just ended this past Friday, and then And then right now we're housing our senior citizens from the Guadalupe Center here because their building's being redone. So working with community is great.
Yeah.
But it's like, but then we also have to think about what's going on in our own space and what's happening programmatically. Yeah. And so, next year maybe we'll switch that up a little bit and figure out how we can still have our kids, which are important to have our kids here in the space because Summer Art Camp kids get to see it all. And these aren't kids that are from the neighborhood. There's a good sprinkling of kids in the neighborhood. Right. Yeah. But the majority of the kids are from outside of the neighborhood. And they're trying to be here because they want that. They want that diversity. They want the kids to be able to experience something different and new. And this space allows that,
That's awesome.
Whether we were in our old space back in the day or whether it's this new space, it's like being able to be a part of the gallery and the exhibits that are here. Who knows? Maybe one of those parents would stop in and see a piece and maybe buy a piece or come to a next show that maybe then they could, bring the family and friends and do something different that they've never experienced before. So we get a lot of kids from the greater Kansas City area. But we used to do monthly shows. When we first started, we would do a show every freaking month. I don't know how we did it, but we did, and it was exhausting. And now I just think the past few years, just opening up this space, it's like, man, I'm tired just thinking about what's next. Day of the Dead is coming up, and we're like, right in the midst of planning. This show will come down that's up right now that's really talks about healing and self-care and really personal to the artists that are a part of it. And so we love the collaborative group Masa to be able to, Rico and Isaac are part of them, to be able to work with them and have a place for their artists to be able to come together and create a plan. And
I see the homie Dink over there too.
Yeah, Dink too. Yeah. But so it's just being able to give space, where it's needed and figuring out what the calendar looks like. But
that's awesome.
So usually though, September, we don't have anything getting ready for Day of the Dead. It's like so much. We used to do so much and kind of scaling back, but at the same time, like Charlie coming in, giving him that opportunity to say, let's figure this out. Let's work out what this show in the summer and then this show now can look like.
Yeah. You guys are doing great work. I mean, there's the art. I mean, every time I come in here and do an exhibit, I'm just blown away. Is there an artist, Jenny, that maybe you're very familiar with that doesn't get any spotlight yet? That they're coming up? Maybe a couple artists. I don't know. You want to give a shout out to?
I mean, like some OG ones that really, I think, still need Adolfo Martinez, I mentioned him earlier. And it's like Adolfo has been around this scene for years and, doing cars for Charlie Lona and the Lonas to just,
Is he the one that did Rudy's?
Yeah, he did Rudy's,
Rudy's Tanapa,
And I mean, it worries me when you have an artist that, has been around for some years now and you think like, what would happen if something where their health was to deteriorate, something whatever that is, age creeps up on all of us, and
they didn't get a shine nowhere. Or get their pieces out.
And it's like him. It's like you don't want to forget people like that. So I always got to go back to somebody like him, that maybe has had his moments and times through the years, but at the same time, it's quick to kind of not remember, right? And so he's an awesome artist. I mean, he's definitely an original, and you can't forget people like that really helped the rest of us to get where we're at, And so him, I'd say there's, I don't know. You put me on the spot there with that one. It's like trying to think of other artists that are doing stuff. I mean, Liz Gonzalez, who's worked with Charlie in his shows, and she was a student of Jessica Manco, who used to work here, and so it's like all this weird circle that happens with things always coming back around, and I hired her for a couple summers ago, and it's great to see that her work is out there. A lot of the women artists that showed up in our Mujer show, it's like there's some, like Isabel Flores, it's like her work is amazing. She's now working with gear over at the Northeast. And when Anthony Rea, he's another one, Anthony Rea. Shout out to Anthony Rea. It's like his photography work, he leads up our youth development at their Northeast, and it's like these people that are doing stuff and have been doing stuff through the years, but just kind of, maybe not out on that forefront, but, there's some talented artists. There's a lot of male artists in Kansas City that get a lot of I'm not trying to say anything bad on any of them, but it's like, you know, where's all those women artists, those Latino women artists? And so that was something like during the Nelson that Stephanie was like, you know, we're really a little shy on women. Yeah. Can you name? And I just started kind of rattling off the few that I could, you know, give. And it was great that she followed up with, I think, all of them that I had given and being able to take that next, you know, plunge into accepting their work into the show and all that. But yeah, that's just, there's some such talented people, whether they're younger and kind of getting exposure now to, you know, some that have just been doing it for some years. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you have a favorite artist? Like somebody, like just... Who's your favorite?
I mean, Juan Moya. He's probably one of my most favorite artists.
Of course,
you know?
that's a given. But I'm talking
and then
like
beyond that, like in bigger.
Yeah, like an international.
Oh yeah. I thought you were talking local, like here.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, Juan Moya is great though.
Yeah, he's I mean, no doubt. He's a great one
for sure.
Here
and
local.
I'm just teasing because he knows I'm always talking about him. He's going to be like, Jenny, calm down. But I would say, I mean, you know, through the years, I mean, Frida Kahlo, like I mentioned to her before. Yeah. I mean, I even named my dog Frida because of how influential she was in my own work, you know, and that's been like for real years ago, you know, and then, I don't know, there's you know, just, I can't think of any other, like there's different masters that I think I've looked at through the years that I think like, you know, how great and amazing work that you know, whether it's if you ever get to see him in real life, you know, like if you go to the Nelson, you see a Caravaggio and you're like, wow. You know, and just think like those artists were working in, you know, in candlelight and they created these amazing paintings, you know. Yeah. But I mean, there's just, I think Frida would be the one that for me speaks a lot, but I mean, yeah, Diego Rivera even too. I mean, there's a lot of, you know, Siqueiros, which is another muralist from Mexico, to Tamayo, which is another one, you know. All those artists were around the same time period, so of course they were influential in Mexico, but then their work kind of started doing this thing internationally, but yeah.
Yeah, I always been a fan of Jesus Segarra, man.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Oh, my God. All his colorful creations, paintings he did. Yeah. You know, I got a piece
cool.
on my leg.
Nice.
But like even Isaac, right? Isaac, his is El Mac. You know, we asked him, El Mac is, man.
I thought he was talking about me, but he wasn't. I was like, okay.
You're like, whatever.
So, Jenny, a couple fun questions, okay, as we wind down here with you. And before we get there, actually, you know, one thing I want to say, because this is more recent with you, rest in peace to your father. We know that you lost him not that long ago, and really appreciate, you know, everything, his influence on you clearly. Yeah. Is there anything you would like to share about him or say about him while we have you on here?
Yeah, I mean, of course, it's just, you know, it's like you don't realize the impact that a parent has on you, like for real, like, you know, until they're gone. And then you're like, I mean, the other day I was like ready to call him and I was like, shoot, I could call him. It was like, whoa, wait, this is for real. So that alone is just kind of been so fresh and new to me just because it hasn't been that long. It's been a month. But I don't know. He was just, he was a character. And I can say up until the end, he was a character. Yeah. I mean, just the weekend prior to him passing, even though he was intubated, he was awake, you know, and trying to talk. And but just his weeks prior to that, you know, he was flirting with all the nurses. He was just the biggest flirt, and just a true character. And I see myself, not that I'm a big flirt, but just thinking about like being personable, and you know, I'll reach out to somebody and just want to touch them, you know, and as I'm speaking, to, you know, just kind of creating this opportunity to have a conversation, and you know, so it's just like I see that coming from my dad, like that. My mom is very personable too, but it's interesting to see my dad in such a funny way. And sometimes I'd be like, Dad, chill out. Like he would say some stuff, and I'd be like, what are you doing? You know, and then he didn't even like didn't even bat an eye with that. It's like, whatever, that's how he was. And I know that, that he just, he was his own person, did his own thing. But I look back and think, wow, he was doing a lot of stuff that a lot of other people probably in his shoes weren't doing. And I didn't know that until looking up his stuff for his, like the work that he did and looking to see if there was anything, insurance-wise, all that other stuff when you have to go through paperwork, and going, man, like he held some really great titles at his job. And because he knew Spanish, he traveled to Mexico for Canada's Truck Company, which was like amazing.
Wow.
In the 70s and 80s, and you're just thinking like until the plant closed down here in Kansas City, but I mean, he had some great opportunities and had supervisory jobs when other probably Hispanic guys his age were working in the factories.
Right.
And so it's like, wow, I don't know how that happened because he didn't go to college, but whatever he did to create that opportunity for himself, so that's really inspirational for me to see and hear and understand it a little bit better. Always had a good relationship with my dad, even though he was ornery and could be
dads.
Yeah, right. It's like, I'm not gonna say nothing bad, but you know what I mean. Just like it's interesting now to look back on him and kind of go, wow, like I didn't know that stuff about him, and no wonder I'm the way that I am, or the stuff that I found, or the pictures that were hidden, and all that cool stuff that it's like I want to. I think that's what I'm striving to be, right? To be definitely carry on the legacy that he left for me and my sisters and our kids and. But thanks for bringing him up.
Absolutely. Well, this episode is going to be cemented in time, right? So I think, and it's going to be put on the internet, as you well know, and I think it's great to have an opportunity to, go back to this and reflect on it and be like, wow, I remember.
Well, I will tell you that my plan, I got a couple of plans in place. Day of the Dead is coming up, so the first thing, which is, I know it wouldn't be comfortable for some people to think, but for me, just because of the work that I do, we're going to do an altar for my dad. That's awesome. And so that's kind of in the works as we've been, kind of going through stuff. But and then I do work with the Kansas City Museum and Paul Gutierrez, who runs their programming, and I've been doing Day of the Dead with them for, I can't remember now, is it our 10th year? And so that's something big, and he lost his father last year, so I haven't given him, so this is the first time it's being said, because I haven't even told him this yet, but I would love to do our altar that we do over there. He sets up the base for me, and then I do all the work, and so it's like, it's a collab, and just great. It's a one-night deal. It's in the evening, so people only see it if they come to the museum to see that particular Day of the Dead festival exhibit that they do, their programming that they offer. But I want to reflect on dads in general, people that have lost their fathers. What inviting people to bring pictures of their dads, and
I might be interested in that.
It's just like being able to give that kind of. Just a highlight, right? And we usually highlight, specific people that either are kind of on a global, setting, whether it's a cause, like something that happened, a bombing, or whatever it may be. Something we may kind of look at that, and real general terms, or just families in general. And people will come and drop mementos and stuff like that. So that I know I have in the works. So I'm definitely thinking about my dad, but also thinking about the impact of dads in general, right? Whether you have a great relationship with your father or not, it's like that impact that, and then as fathers, as like my own husband or my kids as fathers, it's like, wow, it's like, we want to be able to hopefully just make an impact as parents on our children, so they can be the best. If you didn't have the best relationship with your dad, but you can be the best father for your children, best mother for your children, best 100%.
Parent. That's what it's about, right?
Yeah, and then giving opportunities like people to be able to come in and create an altar for a loved one. It's like I
tell my sons this. I say, take my goods with you and evolve my bads.
That's great. It's wonderful.
Because I have two boys, and they're going to be dads one day, hopefully. And I tell them that. I'm like, take my goods and make them better, evolve my bads.
Yeah.
And that's why I try to do with my own dad, you know.
Oh, yeah,
So,
for sure. That's great.
that's great, Jenny. I appreciate you. Appreciate you talking
I've got
about
lots
that.
of plans, so hopefully I'm going to make them all reality.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah.
Can't wait.
Awesome.
All right. We're going to have some fun with you now as we wind down here. So we do this really fun activity, and we're Interrupt KC, people, places, and things. You may or may not have seen this yet. But it's a versus, okay? It's, you know, this versus that, and you gotta pick one.
Okay.
But you gotta give us a story as to why.
All right.
Okay.
I'm ready.
So I'm gonna let D-Rod
You gonna let me start
go
it?
first, man.
He always makes me start. All right, it's pretty simple, right? So I'm going to start with people, right? And I always try and pull. It's all local, right? So I pulled up some news people. All right, so I'm going to go with KCTV5, Carolina Cruz versus Fox 4, Kathy Quinn.
Fox 4, Kathy Quinn.
Kathy Quinn.
She gets around.
She's a goat, man. She's been around,
I'm sorry,
man.
nothing against.
I know.
But it's like, yeah, no, and I could call her right now and say I got a news piece for you, and she'd be all over it.
Yeah.
You know, she's great. And
Kathy Quinn is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Kathy Quinn, she's history, man. She's been around here, man.
yeah, and her family. She's got great stories
Yeah.
about her family. Really cool stuff. Growing up here.
Kathy Quinn, shout out Kathy Quinn.
Kathy Quinn.
I got a little bit harder one for you, I think. Isaiah Pacheco or Bobby Witt Jr.?
I don't. Isaiah Pacheco or Bobby Witt. Dang, I don't. I mean, I know who they are, but I'm just like going,
Yeah.
I'll go with Bobby Witt just because he's young and younger and.
Turned into a megastar right in front of us.
Yeah, he's like really quick. Yeah, that's happening. Yeah.
Yeah, he is. And I'm wearing Royals, so
Yeah, exactly.
Bobby Witt, man.
that helps.
I think I need to get a Bobby Witt jersey. So.
Oh, and I didn't even mention, how about this one? This is cool. This is new thing too. I'll be. I got nominated to be on the Buck O'Neil Legacy seat, so I'll be going to a game really soon.
Nice.
So I just kind of confirmed today on a date. So
Do you know what game it is? Because I'm going somewhere soon too.
I think it's the September 8th one is what we're going to. Is that Minnesota? I can't remember which game now.
I was thinking, is it going to be the Hispanic Independent or the Mexican Independence Weekend?
I could have done that one. I haven't confirmed yet. There is one on the 16th that she offered to me. So it's either coming up on the. Now that you said that,
I think
maybe
I'm
I'll
going
do
on the
that one.
Yeah, man.
That's a good one.
See, there you go.
But anyways, but they get to you get to choose your date.
That's
so
awesome.
that's really awesome and. Get to take all the family. That'll be really cool. I mean,
well, let us know.
Yeah.
I like to go there, man. I'll cheer
would
you
too.
on.
I know, ain't it? It's cool. I get to be on the big jump on
big
screen.
on the
I'll be like
screen.
Forrest Gump. Jenny!
Jumping on the
anyways-
field, rolling across it.
Had to throw that out there because I think it's pretty cool. And
Yeah,
That's
that
awesome.
is.
Congratulations
Nice.
for
Thank
that.
you. Thank you.
Well
Well
deserved.
deserved.
Yeah,
Well
thank
deserved. All right, here we go. Are we doing people? All right, another person. All right, I don't know if this is your type of people or not, but I'm saying Kirstie Alley versus Kate Spade.
Not really my type of people. Who's Kirstie Alley? I don't even know that.
She's an actress. She was in Cheers.
Oh yeah. I'd say her. Yeah, for sure.
Nah.
Okay. Yeah.
She's an actress. She's from Kansas City. A lot of people
that's
don't know
true. Yeah,
that.
that's right. Yeah.
All right. Town Topic, hamburgers or Westport Flea Market?
Town Topic.
Of
Yeah.
course, man. Of
Yeah.
course.
That was fast.
That's 5-0, man.
What's that
I mean,
order?
maybe like old Town Topic, not the new Town Topic.
Not the
It's
new
a lot different.
gentrified Town
Back
Topic.
when, what's her name that worked there?
Moms.
Yeah, Moms
Mom.
worked there.
Yeah.
You know, when she was there, that's the real deal. And it started to
Homeless guy
change,
sitting in the
and it was
corner.
like, yeah.
Man, I miss those days.
We'd go there after Del Rio or something. Yeah.
Man, I don't know anything about that.
Oh, sorry, I don't know what I was talking about there for a second. But yeah.
We'll go over there after
We
everything.
can go after this right now.
Man,
Yeah.
we can, for real.
Yeah.
All right, I got one for you. This one's going to be a little difficult. Manny's versus Margaritas.
I'd say Manny's.
Yeah.
Just because of its history. Nothing against margaritas at all. You know, the only thing, like, I think with Manny's nowadays, it's like, it's just so much more restaurants have opened up, so it's kind of like, is it my go-to? No, not really anymore, you know, but if you're talking versus, yeah, it'd have to be Manny's.
Yeah, shout out
David
Lopez.
Mexican food, yeah, shout out David. Mexican food in Kansas City has evolved to
that's what I mean. Nothing against Manny's.
Yeah.
It's just like, when you think of the list of restaurants, back in the day, man, we were there all the time with my dad. We'd take us there, and
that's a go-to place if you got a big-ass party,
too. Yeah, if you have a party
you got like
for a
15 or 30 people.
I will say I am really proud of the Lopez family, my boy David, because they put a mural. I don't know if you saw the mural. They put a mural on the wall in Manny's.
On the outside of the parking lot.
The parking lot.
Yeah.
They put a
Spray KC, right? Was that part of that?
Spray KC.
Let me just get on there.
Or Spray CMO.
There you go. Get the right one because I know there's a difference.
Spray CMO.
There's a difference between the two. You're right.
I just want to say again, like I said last time, they got best cheeseburger there.
Really?
They do, man. And I catch shit from it all the time, right? But I'm gonna say it again. I mean, and he's prided himself on that. He was like, "Yeah, man." He told a story about it.
Oh, he told a great story about
he told
why the burgers
a great story
important.
because I had a fest to him, right, Jenny? Because I go there the same as you.
Yeah, you go.
I go with people and crowds and all that and stuff, and I get a cheeseburger. And everybody give me shit about it. Like, where you get a cheeseburger? I'm like,
at a
want a
Mexican
cheeseburger.
restaurant.
Yeah. But hey, listen. Don't sleep on that cheeseburger, man. That cheeseburger is good.
It's good.
So, yeah.
All right.
Good tip. I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
Go Chicken Go or Stroud's?
This is so funny. We just had Stroud's last night.
Did you?
Yes. Okay.
Gizzards?
Gizzards. They were good.
They are good.
They were really good.
Gravy?
The gravy was great. Okay.
Cinnamon rolls?
The cinnamon rolls, yeah. I don't know. I'd have to, if you were talking about maybe like 20 years ago or 15, 20 for sure. Go Chicken Go all the way.
Yeah.
Go Chicken Go and has evolved a lot and changed, and there, people have complaints and all that stuff. But I mean, I would still do the gizzards at Go Chicken Go.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. That's all I get from them.
Yeah. And
sometimes I get a full.
Yeah, exactly. And eat it all by yourself. Heck
I'm miserable after. I feel like shit, but I get
dip it in their gravy. That's good stuff too.
Oh my god.
But yeah, I don't know. I would it's probably more on the Go Chicken Go side.
Yeah.
But Stroud's is great. I mean, they're really good, but it's just not. It's not something that you can go to all the time. Like, there's not a ton of them, and there's not that there's a ton of Go Chicken Goes, but there are different locations. Right, if you're in KCK, you know where you're going to go.
Yeah, 7th Street.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess I'll take it more on the Go Chicken Go side. Yeah.
All right, cool. I'm gonna go there after this. All right. Let's barbecue, man. We can't see barbecue. We gotta do barbecue. Q39 or Jack Stacks.
Jack Stacks.
Jack Stacks,
so
really?
Good. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've had Q39. I think when they first opened.
Yeah.
But I like
Jack Stacks where it's at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe we'll go there.
Jack Stack, man.
You're getting me really.
Man.
Jack Stack. All right. So I'm assuming you've been to some concerts in Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
So let's do Folly Theater or Midland Theater.
Midland.
Because
it's just the history of it. It's cool. It's a cool building. It's so nice.
Yeah, it is.
Not that Folly isn't nice.
There's some. I'm
such a nice person. I hate saying.
Yeah. We're going there. Ramon Ayala.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah. We're gonna go.
Probably his last concert in Kansas City.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Another thing. Santa Calagon Days versus Boulevardia.
I've been to both. Haven't been to Santa Calagon in a long time.
It's hot.
I know. It's like,
man, it'd be hot as hell out there.
It'd be hot as hell out there, man.
My boys went to St. Mary's, so we'd have to work the funnel cake booth.
Oh. One for you, one for me.
I know, right? Yeah. I love funnel cakes. Let's see. I don't know. That's kind of, I don't know. Boulevardia, it's cool. I think I like that it has such a cool venue of so many entertainers and so many people. And it's definitely getting to be known as it's a Kansas City
for
thing,
sure. Yeah.
Where, Santa Calagon is really independence and it's really just older school, I haven't been, like I said, in years.
And it's hot.
And it's hot as heck. You said that, yeah.
I know.
All right, last one, Jenny. The Peanut or Tanner's?
Oh. Dang it. The Peanut. The wings.
Man, everybody says
Everybody
that.
got them wings.
The wings. The
I like
wings.
Tanner's though. Tanner's is good, you know. But yeah, no.
Tanner's got fire wings. I ain't
They
gonna
do,
lie.
yeah, you're right.
But
I
the
think so, too.
peanut,
The
that
peanut.
is the go-to for.
Man, I wanted to go to Peanut the other day, man. I did. I should have
What
called you,
happened?
man.
You
It got
shoulda.
shot down, man.
Got
My
shot
wife,
down.
man.
Damn it.
Damn.
Well, listen, Jenny, that is fun. A little fun activity we like to have with everybody. Thank you for participating. The very last question that we ask people for fun is, tell us you're from KC without telling us you're from KC.
Okay. Let's see. If you know, I'm trying to reference something. If you're going to go to, if you're going to come to Kansas City, and wait, how do I say this? I don't know how to start it. I guess if you're a kid and you're going to go to a big attraction spot, you would know this place.
Yeah.
For sure. So I don't know how. I'm not saying it the right way. Like how do other people start off on their?
Well, they would just say whatever, something only Kansas Cityans know.
Worlds of Fun.
And are aware of.
Worlds of Fun.
Worlds
That's
of
what I was
Fun.
referring to. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
All right, then you would say something like the Timberwolf.
Oh yeah. Oh, here we go. The Zambezi Zinger.
Hey, that.
And they brought it back, so
Yes.
it's like that's
You
like the
still
biggest
ride
thing.
roller coasters?
I haven't in a while, but I mean, I would. I think I would.
Really?
I think I would.
You
It's
come
just-
off all sore
I
and
know they
hurting
get you all
and
like
shit.
this. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
You know, the Zambezi Zinger is the first time that I sat uncomfortably with a female on a ride. I was like, we have to sit like this? Yeah.
How do you have to sit on
Oh,
it?
like the
Like they have to sit between your legs.
Really?
yeah, because the car is like long. Like
Yeah, it's long. It's not next to each other. Like you get in and
See, I don't
they
get on
in.
that shit, man. I don't ride that.
And
But
I was
it takes you to
I
the
was
woods,
sitting
too.
I was
did. I don't
sitting
know if it's
between
right.
her legs, and I was like, I'm uncomfortable because I never had to sit between a female's legs like that. So.
Yeah, it's
Anyway,
like-
long
No.
time ago.
But yeah, if you know Kansas City, then for sure, yeah, Zambezi Zinger comes up to mind. For me.
Yeah. All right, there it is right there. Jenny, is there anything you'd like to share with us or the guests that we didn't ask you? Anything you want to say?
No, I mean, I love the work that I do. I love being a part of Kansas City. I love that we have such a diverse community and that the arts are really important because, I mean, I think in the past, 20-some years, the arts have really shown themselves here in Kansas City and just through
100%.
everything that's happening, you know, and so continue that because we made a name for ourselves, not only because of our chiefs and because of, you know, all these great things that are happening, the KC Current, all that stuff, but it's like the arts are big. I mean, it's just something that really makes me proud and that I can be a part of it, you know, whether I sit on a panel, whether I, you know, reviewing grants, applications, you know, all of those things that I really don't ever share with people, you know, just to be able to be on the back side of it, but then also the front side here at Matty Rhodes, you know, it's like those are great opportunities that want to be able to be available for other people coming up that are doing the same thing that I'm doing, you know, and or just starting out or just, you know, really getting their art out there and what other opportunities are available for them. So,
Awesome.
And thank you to you guys for giving this opportunity for people, you know, to artists and just cool people here in Kansas City that are doing some amazing things. So appreciate it. I'm glad I'm on the list.
Hey,
Well, thank you.
top of the list.
Yeah, top of the list. I've been wanting to get at you for a while,
Yeah.
you know, and thank you for taking the time out, man. I've known you. I'm happy and proud to call you a friend.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, for sure.
Same. Your family means a lot. You know, I know everybody. Your mom, your mother, your mother, and you know, just your guys' family. You know, it's like families like you all. You know, that have lots and lots of siblings. You know, it's like that's what's important about our community. You know, it's just like
For sure.
You know, and don't forget all those great memories of childhood.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, Jenny, thank you for being you, and thank you for all the work you do here in the community. It's so
Thank you.
important to represent the city. With that, this is Interrupt KC, JL.
D-Rod.
Like, share, follow, subscribe. We are out.
Thank you.
Peace.
Bye.